Yo, what is good, everyone? Happy Friday. Hope y'all have had a great week so far and got some good plans here for this weekend. Now, today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 10 NFL DraftKings main slate. And like I always do, I'll go position by position, breaking down each play that sticks out to me. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. Folks, it is not projecting to be the most fun slate here in Week 10. We got a few games that are creeping around 50 points, but outside of that, it looks like it could be a relatively low-scoring slate. And then take a look behind me there, I got the highest implied team totals. You could always use that as a reference point as I'm going through some of my favorite cash game plays. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks here. And for those of you who have been watching my cash plays videos this year, you know I keep it pretty simple at the quarterback position most weeks. I'm going to do the same thing here in Week 10, being that Josh Allen is not going to play and or will be limited in this game against the Minnesota Vikings. Patrick Mahomes is the flat-out best quarterback play in my opinion, so I'm going to be spending up for him. If I need the price savings, I don't mind going to Justin Fields either. Obviously, I played him in my cash lineup last week, and I've been having some people ask me, Griff, you going to share your cash lineup week in and week out? Look, I did that for 2 straight years, and nobody ever watched the video. Not nobody, but very few people compared to my other videos. So, if you want to see the cash lineup I'm playing on a weekly basis, you can join my DraftKings League, link in the description below, and the contests that I roll out on a weekly basis, that is my cash lineup. So if you want to see how I'm doing that, you can join that contest there. I did play Justin Fields last week. Obviously, that worked out for us. He's got a great matchup here again this week against Detroit. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself there, though. Trevor Lawrence as well. If I really need the price savings, I will go down to him. But of course, I got to give you some details here on why I do like Patrick Mahomes. Again, Josh Allen probably not going to play this week, and even if he does, he's going to be limited. I want no part of that in my cash lineup. So to me, Mahomes is the flat-out best quarterback play, and I'm not even entirely sure it's close. He's got a good matchup here this week at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are ranked 27th overall in pass DVOA, so Mahomes should be able to do his thing against this defense, just like he's done all year long, which has led to him averaging 27 DraftKings points per game. That's over 3x value at this current price. And the Chiefs love to throw the ball, ranking 3rd overall in the NFL, throwing at a 65.3% rate. So the opportunity and volume will definitely be there for Mahomes. Now, Justin Fields, he blew up last week, but really has been playing good here for a handful of weeks. In both the passing game, that's really what's improved, and the rushing game is just phenomenal. No, I don't bank on him going for 150 plus rushing yards on a weekly basis, but again, it shows you the ceiling that he has, and he's got another great matchup here this week against the Detroit Lions, who are ranked 26th overall in pass DVOA, and really just don't have a good defense in general. And again, if I need to save money at the quarterback position, or rather if I want to spend up elsewhere for some high-priced running backs and wide receivers, I don't mind punting here with Trevor Lawrence at $5,400, and using the word punt is probably not the right word because Lawrence has been very serviceable this year. Chiefs not the best defense either, and a game they're likely trailing, so the volume should be there for Lawrence as well. Now, moving over here to the running backs, and I'm not going to lie, I thought $8,600 was just a little too expensive for Saquon Barkley. I almost left him off of my spreadsheet. And then I looked at the matchup against the Houston Texans. I said, oh, okay, that makes sense why he's $8,600. And this Houston defense is just abysmal at stopping the run. Go look at Derrick Henry, what he did to this defense just 2 weeks ago. I'm not suggesting that Saquon's going to go over 200 rushing yards and multiple touchdowns, but I wouldn't be shocked if he goes for 25 plus DraftKings points in this game. And the beautiful thing about Saquon is he can get you 20 plus DraftKings points even without finding the end zone, considering how involved he is in both the rushing and passing game. Another guy who's been a volume monster since week 7 is Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Since that time, he is averaging 24 touches per game, which has led to 135.6 total yards per game. And honestly, he hasn't been heavily involved in the passing game either, just seeing a 10% target share. And he's going to have one of these games where that gets closer to the 15-20% mark, and that very well could be this week against the Kansas City Chiefs because, again, the Jags are likely trailing in this game. Even if they aren't trailing, we know Etienne's going to get heavily involved involved in the running game, so I like him once again here this week at $7,100. And then I got Dameon Pierce there of the Houston Texans. There really just isn't much value on this slate at the running back position, at least as of Friday when I record here. Dameon Pierce is certainly one of the better value plays, and it's hard to consider him a value play when he's in the 6K range, but the volume has been there for this guy as well. He's averaging 23.3 touches per game since week 3, which has led to 110 total yards per game, and he's got a great matchup here this week against the New York Giants, who rank 24th overall in rush DVOA. Now, as an honorable mention, I got Alvin Kamara listed there as well. Think he's a fine pivot play off of any one of those guys. Good matchup against the Steelers this week, although TJ Watt is expected to be back. Kamara didn't have his best game last week, we all know that, but prior to that, showed some really nice upside playing with Andy Dalton because he's getting heavily involved in the passing game again. We saw that regression game where he went for 3 touchdowns, so we know that the upside is there with him too, and again, it just comes down to the volume, especially considering how involved he is in the passing game. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these wide receiver plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I know we're already 10 weeks into the NFL season, but we're going to finish strong here as well, and I got a lot more content coming your guys' way. And we're going to kick these wide receivers off here with Tyreek Hill. I don't even know if I need to really advocate for this guy anymore. He has been damn near unstoppable this year with a 33% target share, and he's now leading the NFL in targets, receptions, and receiving yards, and should decimate this secondary for the Cleveland Browns this week. I understand he's very expensive at $9,100, but he's hitting value on a consistent basis, even at that price. But I understand it is tough to pay up for a guy like Tyreek Hill, so I got some wide receivers here below 7K as well. I went back and forth between Chris Olave and Amon-Ra St. Brown in this price range. Amon-Ra at $6,900. Amon-Ra has seen 19 targets in his last 2 games, getting back to the volume that we saw earlier this year and the end of last year, really. So I definitely think he's a fine play, but so is Chris Olave. This rookie has just been fantastic this year. So far, he's seen around a 27% target share, 41.5% of the team's air yards, and does have a good matchup this week here against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who rank 21st overall in pass DVOA. But if you do go with Amon-Ra this week in a good matchup against Chicago, I have no problem with that. Now, it's finally been nice to see one of these wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs have a consistent role in the passing game. Otherwise, it's just been the Travis Kelce show. But Juju has played well here over the past 3 weeks, where he's seen a 19% target share, finishing as wide receiver 4, 7, and 8, while averaging 108 receiving yards per game. And he's got a good matchup here. I talked about this earlier when going through Patrick Mahomes. Jags not the best at stopping the pass, ranking 27th overall in pass DVOA. And now we're going to get into some of those other value plays here, starting with Donovan Peoples-Jones. $4,300, a really nice price and a good matchup against the Miami Dolphins, whose secondary has not been very good this year, and this is a game where the Cleveland Browns are likely trailing, needing to play catch-up and throwing the ball a little bit more. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's wide receiver number 2 in this Cleveland Browns offense behind Amari Cooper, and has seen a 19% target share this year. But I got some other value plays there as well. Christian Kirk at $5,900. He's going to be in my GPP lineups for sure, shown some really nice chemistry already this year with Trevor Lawrence in his new team. Rondale Moore sitting at a nice price of $5,200 considering the volume he's seen here as of late, especially over the last 2 weeks, and should avoid Jalen Ramsey for the most part playing in the slot. And then being that they put Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller on IR this week for the Las Vegas Raiders, Matt Collins is definitely in play again at $4,200. If I had one more extra square on this spreadsheet, he would have been right below Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then we got a few tight ends here for you. I'd love to pay up for Travis Kelce this week, but I foresee myself spending up at the running back position for sure. Would like to get in at least one of those higher priced wide receivers, and again, would like to pay up for Mahomes, but okay with Justin Fields too. And again, Trevor Lawrence if I really need the price savings, but I'm going to punt at the tight end position this week with Pat Freiermuth, Dalton Schultz, or Greg Dulcich. I think any one of those guys are a fine play, sitting at really nice prices. Freiermuth has shown some really nice chemistry with Kenny Pickett. Freiermuth has seen around a 19% target share this year and almost 19% of the team's air yards, so some really nice volume, especially considering the price. And Chase Claypool is out of there as well. They're going to have to spread out some of those targets, so Freiermuth could see a few extra go his way this week. Dalton Schultz is a completely different tight end when Dak Prescott is playing. He was pretty much invisible when, Cooper Rush was playing. Ooh, had to think about that for a minute. But when Dak Prescott is starting, he has seen a 23.5% target share and averaging around 61.5 receiving yards per game. Not bad at all for a guy priced in the 3K range. And then Dulcich there of the Denver Broncos has seen a 17% target share since week 6, hitting double-digit DraftKings points in every one of those games. And then I got one defense on the spreadsheet here this week, the Minnesota Vikings at $2,200, who are the second cheapest defense on this main slate. Now, they obviously priced them assuming that Josh Allen was going to play, but I truly believe that Josh Allen is not going to play. And even if he does, I believe he'd be limited, and they probably have a run-heavy approach, which is why I don't believe that he is going to play, because the Bills love to throw the ball. So I believe that Case Keenum is going to be starting here in this matchup, and I like that at this price of $2,200. But let's obviously keep an eye out and make sure that Josh Allen is in fact out on Sunday. And as always, going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with a low-priced option or sub-4K wide receiver play. And honestly, folks, we're probably going to have to get rid of this section next season. We're going to ride on here in 2022, but DraftKings has made it near impossible to play any wide receiver below $4,000, especially in your cash lineup this year. But I guess if I had to pick one guy, I'd go with Tom Kennedy of the Detroit Lions. That sounds so gross. He played 67% of the offensive snaps last week while seeing 4 targets, and Josh Reynolds is going to be out again this week, so Kennedy should be wide receiver number 3 once again, behind Khalif Raymond and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and should have a very similar role in a good matchup against the Chicago Bears. Now, if Brandon Cooks and or Nico Collins miss for the Houston Texans, I think we could go the Chris Moore or Philip Dorsett route in the 3K range. But again, I'll probably just be avoiding the 3K wide receivers this week as a whole in my cash lineup. There's some good value there in the low 4K range. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 10 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.